this man trekked across the United States to meet up with an Arkansas girl. In 2022, a family in Bryant, Arkansas had an app on their daughter's phone that would tell them if she went outside a certain boundary. She was 12 years old, and I do think that it's necessary to keep an eye on your children, of course, keep track of them. So on October 15th, 2022, when this child went outside of the boundary her parents had set up, her parents got an alert on their phone. I think, like most parents would, the father followed the phone signal coming from his daughter's phone to where the phone said her location was. And what he found was what I would describe as horrifying. The father found his 12-year-old daughter laying on the ground with a grown man who had his pants around his ankles. Now, this grown man decided that his best course of action was to get up and run away through the woods like a coward. And maybe this was his best course of action. I mean, what would you do if that were your child? So the next day, on October 16th, 2022, the father contacted the Bryant Police Department to report the incident from the day before. By searching the girl's phone, police were able to get the man's phone number. And by getting his phone number, they were able to get his name. His name was Jeremy Ward. And they were able to find out that Mr. Jeremy Ward was actually from the state of Michigan. He was a registered sex offender. In 2013, Jeremy Ward had been found guilty of several counts of possessing CSAM, and that's why he was a registered sex offender. I think that he had no business being able to have any sort of social media. I don't think sex offenders should have social media. That's just my personal belief. But Jeremy Ward did have social media. He had a Snapchat, and through that Snapchat, he connected with this 12-year-old victim. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't think that there's a good reason for Snapchat. I would die on that hill. In fact, I should have shirts printed up that say Snapchat is the devil. I see so many stories about people who are preying on children using Snapchat, enough that I would never want my own children to have Snapchat. Mr. Ward started chatting online with this victim in September, which means that it took around a month-ish of him chatting with this 12-year-old to convince her to ride her bike down the road to meet up with a man that she didn't know. The victim in this case did get an icky kind of feeling from Mr. Ward at some point, because during the course of her meeting up with Mr. Ward through the conversation initially, because part of the way through her interaction with Jeremy Ward, she decided that she needed to record it, which tells me that she kind of got the ick. And right, like, who wouldn't get an icky feeling from a 32-year-old man meeting up with a 12-year-old girl? During the part of the interaction that the victim recorded on her phone, Jeremy Ward can be heard saying things like, "I was hoping to take you home." He also said, "I just wish she," being the girl's mom, "would let you go, especially since I drove all the way down here." Jeremy Ward also asked the victim, "Think I'm going to kidnap you or something?" To which the victim replied, "You're probably about to at this point." I don't know, that's just so chilling to me that he would even ask that. Police were also able to find Ring camera footage of the victim and Jeremy Ward walking together through the neighborhood. Jeremy Robert Ward, who is from Marine City, Michigan, was arrested on a federal charge of traveling with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. A month after that first complaint was filed, there was a superseding indictment filed, and that superseding indictment added more charges. So on that new indictment, they added 6 counts of production of CSAM, 1 count of receipt of CSAM, and another count of enticement of a minor. Now, Jeremy Ward thought that he stood a better chance at going to trial on this for some weird reason. If you are in a federal case, you actually get credit if you take responsibility for your crime. If you plead guilty, you will get a credit that will lower or can lower your points and ultimately get you a lower sentence. But Jeremy didn't take that route, and at trial, his victim from the 2013 charge did testify. She's now an adult, and according to that victim, she met Jeremy Ward in an online gaming platform, like a chat from a game. And I don't know how to pronounce this game, but I believe it's Gaia, Gaia, and they chatted through chat bubbles. Ultimately, they connected, and Jeremy Ward asked her to send photos of herself. She did. She sent photos of herself in clothing, and he called her modest. He then started asking her for nude photos of herself, and he sent her nude photos of himself. Just to quickly sum up that case, allegedly the victim in that case had a father who lived in California, a mother who lived in Virginia, and she was going to be going to her mother's on spring break. Now, Jeremy Ward lived in Michigan still at that time, but Jeremy Ward arranged to meet up with this victim, this 14-year-old victim, in Virginia when she went to her mother's house. Jeremy Ward had a plan to get on a boat and ride down the river that was near her mom's home and meet up with this girl so that he could have sex with her, a 14-year-old. Jeremy Ward did not end up going through this plan, and I don't know why or what happened, but he was charged in this case, and that's why he's a registered sex offender. So there are a lot of similarities between that case and his case from Arkansas, the 2022 case. And you cannot tell me that Jeremy Ward did this one time in 2013-ish and then waited until 2022 to do it again. There had to have been other victims. This man got in his vehicle and drove almost 1,000 miles from Michigan to Arkansas to have sex with a 12-year-old girl. Jeremy Ward's defense attorney did say that the victim in the Arkansas case, she never said that Jeremy touched her. Yes, he drove from Michigan to Arkansas. Nobody can deny that. But the victim in the case never said that Jeremy Ward touched her. So, like the attorney, I think, was trying to say, you can't prove intent. Never mind the fact that his pants were down, but you can't prove intent. And in the case from Michigan to Virginia with that victim in 2013, Jeremy Ward didn't end up going. So it's a little bit more difficult to prove that that's what he intended to do. But there was an exchange of photographs in that case. Jeremy Ward asked for and received nude photographs from that girl, and her stepmom is the one that found those photographs. And then he sent her nude photographs of himself. Jeremy Ward went to trial and had a trial this past week. On July 24th, 2024, Jeremy Ward was found guilty on all 6 counts. Now, he hasn't been sentenced yet. Sentencing will come at a later date, but he faces a lot of years in prison. One of the charges alone carries a sentence of up to 40 years in prison. Another one up to 20 years in prison. So I will update when Jeremy Ward is sentenced in this case.